nitini na basa na bakono ebrewo no enkratoni yemfa
Onia krata in pense mu. Nyumeko masunya sing. Eye enapa macro. Soye napa. No ye soko. Heaven black insecticide spray and mosquito coil. Heaven dear. Bako pe. Adama West Africa Limited.
T. Bamodiana Shannon so. Ghanaian Times. Office of the half-year report. Akasiformi and sound where aswafo dada or shisho munsemuno where we enai enkono ekoso emu oha edunum and so our consideration stage name investigation mu consideration stage there. Daily Guide. Dr. Puni case no High Court judge for Froba say case no na ye wonran ti ontimi ndi entoaso na obeshase because case ni baby kokodu ye na ye say one time attorney general tam de appeal court is there be High Court judge no omoboni na baby adada no wedi akwakoduru no ontoaso wo hwa de nim din judge no obeka to say case no ontimi ndi eno de chief justice ontimi nyane he okaso ontimi ndi a onye ne he Kobe Asante Kotokoro 246 to abe build in any beche mo Trinidad and Tobago. Adobe Konimun Samina no yede enso bebro. Ketasco Ukai National Science and Math Quiz. Any pair by Abayana or woman or Nenia Harvard or ye medicine or ho na Abayano yesterday we were young kunya or no what take gun and him heavy pa. Abantiana or Kahuna your friend James. Onusu Nyamia and Adomwenya de mi here. Ole go ko be ban ho so pa ko Harvard University United States of America other sorry ya yes food poisoning yakunu de bia me kasa de ya ne se kwase yakum yansani eyapa yeah. Special prosecutor and seminar war Daily Graphic and him and one sema and a daho chilling in finfini no said it here and it here. And I say, oh, I saw you see me do crack and bro no omon cratoni.
Onia krata in pense mu. Nyumeko masunya sing. Eye enapa macro. Soye napa. No ye soko. Heaven black insecticide spray and mosquito coil. Heaven dear. Bako pe. Adama West Africa Limited.
But I say, I feel me emrafi and I feel yamabon komo. Ni waha saso and an innocent. Etwaso na ima. Eka ho babon komo mu hwam fine enro na ni pese oka fantiman issue bola clinic say Jubilee Hospital say Jubilee Health Center say Jubilee Dayo and afei Methodist Basic School no ho asem innocent say anopei o pese oka black meteors ho asem kakra and sen sama wo ho no yet media to aso ima bibi o ho be pese obeka before the main issue ana
media menya bola ne ho asama ankameka
bola na no na ebe yama
okay
bola na ebe yama ene ma menko innocent ono wie black meteors na fe mabani ho
yeah captain dedika mencha na mencha watie for
biajo so
am say na no yati ha na Ghana ye court tournament e Morocco na ye hwese nka black meteors betimi qualify for quite some time na ye court tournament am catch clear say so wo hwe krom ha football no ha na sa wode bi na edidi na some individuals bi their business and omode ayesika pe so the focus here be build the teams na ya make sure say your football system a thrive wo ha and out of that and e benya players di o ma tournament because makachi am for say tournament ayeko no enye whole idea ni say ye course ye kwakwaje cap but countries go to tournament to advertise to the world say omo do creative talent e wo mu krom. And it's a way investor and answer who you be a open football at Nakombo Brow baby, Obaha, and in Albania. Over the years, World Cup and Brazil, and they hear that advertisement to the world. And world has a scout and as for more players in Brazil, they are watching their league because they have come to the world tournament on several occasions. Our team actually we say, Oba your crew higher Brazil. open football talent ya krom ha and ewo. Because of that internet, the Brazilian economy no omutiminya huge sums of money from these areas. Etimi buama economy ni jina ne nine so. Yehano instead of say you bet tenancy kasa krom ha talent ne we ya ewo ha ebi wo ha enti yen so de na ye de ba ye design a certain system ebetimi aboa ma identify players from hinterland na yetimi a build this academy o say ye code system o even say school football kra na ye be hye mu kana na ye depend ye local league no ha ama agina na out of that yetimi build a core national team players na say ye fra obi fra manone aba they are only coming to complement the team that we have because football is about teamwork. It is not about calling individual stars now somebody to play. You need a core team. But captain, as we speak, your local league na gu o ka kotoko ne has ne kotoko ni na gu because about Africa competition there na ekoso because we are not paying key attention to our football. But my catch said football economy is one of the key things that drive most of the economies in the world. So UK we have a more executive summary report on the Premier League in between 2016 and 2017. Contribution ya Premier League in the UK GDP around 7.8 billion pounds and I add because of Premier League in which means any year but unfortunately and I'm saying a court tournament sikadie be dear woman for quite some time now. Yeko Egypt, Yabatana Haka say, Kona Yekono, and Yanis Yedia de Biaba Fie. Yeko walk up, Yakan, the same thing. So there was the need for us to withdraw from those tournaments. Nasikana Yako Kwashino, Yam fan and build the teams, ne academy, near football system or ha, pitches, and as for Sabaya, football, Kuman, Betimia attractive. Nasi a core system ne your fence academy in the north be in other areas so you're making sure there's a football college so whatever now you're setting up over the years and now you're the Sikano Ashem in the next 5 years now you're my time but come to baby your football any plan when is a Ben Coffee in 2001 or this 5-year development plan by sad development plan or the buy and out of that and this black meteors among call items in 2004 Sir, you call Sir items 2004. That was the last time a Ghana team qualified to Olympics game. How many years in here? 20 good years in here. You doing qualify. And other national teams do the same thing. You can't have no. Last time you had a cash cow. I'm for dear children. When you see free. And you know, Nipani na swam ho dear children. They know very well say you need team Okroma. And so for us to sit down and build team and ensure say you were a core blaster team. You do honor. Now for your nam scout around. Ghana for ya wo mo ama no the bogus no na ya boabo mo ano but national team you can use a month or 2 months to assemble individual players and go for a tournament and expect say you do anything and again we don't go to tournament to compete here that is not the sole focus but the focus now you go and tell the world say oba me kroma me football talent ho the investors no wa person be player ne kwama no ne no oba ha obenya bi na ye nso ne system ne ya build them na ye say nam hai what is the plan plan I was a GFA president enam eno tubo ho ene na be ne plan or denam and aban no so gina baabi ene ono so the kura astrotef ene onam na ochechegu but there is no plan GFA ne nam ne baabi ene aban ne nam ne baabi but these are institutions that are supposed to work together to ensure say bit me build the system what be was astrotef na ya na ma ye build no what is the plan behind it what is the project behind it teams in a mobile league, go to Brekuma and go to Doma and go to other areas and look at the kind of picture about ball. But it's mean Sika be astrotech because of politics in Tino. Now yam and yeah to go up on saying Sika won't cry any no and don't have a problem because 2021 Energy Minister call your friends at Parliament and all catch about GMPC project on astrotech or catch up say cost by Kumbia a cost of 1.5 million Ghana cedis. But I will have PIAC report never bontina and yes 30 astrotech no musi Bakumbia 391 I don't know a cost of 80 million Ghana cedis. But Energy Minister na catch said a cost of 40 million Ghana cedis. Look at the vast difference over 32 million. So clearly give you an indication say astrotech na man for number more build Adododie or a honor man for Benyon BBD. It is never about football, it is never about say yes synchronizing with a certain football system a bit when you be because yet Kroma na yemi no more Mali, Burkina and as for first na can football countries and no home. Oka Mali and Nigeria no more can but a net you call youth tournament a captain Ghana entimi Mali and him entimi Burkina and him other because more pathway to the French system. Omo build the academy now. They're able to ship their players to France. Omo some development there. Omo never competitive forces in African football. And Ghana in the last 40 to 30 years in here, many South America tonto wakra yako cup akwaji yako tournament akwaji biaba. But the bia to sika to go yakwa na yabwa ya na yako aban ho de akatom say yakwa akwaji cup aba nipa hu nyansa bi so mo say plan be na kura mo team na ya de koro how na team no abo in effectiveness ne say kwan be na ebe fa so betimi akwakoye sa ade no but anam say pure politics. Now you dear Chiloko Benya Bibia Frimti, nobody is asking any questions. You quite a kosher place in a chi. Mun demand somebody $100,000. Mun demand somebody. You call walk up. Sikana FIFA de Mayano. You bomb more than machine in your Okroma. Even Nipano Mudi team Netiko and every Blaster committee members, you know. Who is each and everyone, according to Alleged Guisa, was entitled to $100,000. Muji Ebedi Okroma say, Bagana League na ya born a house in a Kotokorom. Or more travel across the length and breadth of this country, they're winning here and go home with $27,000, $27,000. But one person walk out for just 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know, ever feel with $100,000. So clearly, I trust that the Black Star has become a cash cow. That is why I call the GFA as a for the concentration, the focus has always been on the Black Star because you dear chida honey binya you deliberate free. But what is the plan? Plan is over Chroma. I bet the pele as Samoja and they came from somewhere. Clearly giving indications that we have a lot of talent in this particular country. And this is a fair share of the football economy. Talent, you know, we can use football to create a job for in a single year. The Premier League alone created 100,000 jobs for people in the UK. So what are we doing? When we can invest in this team, has in a kotokoye, but enam sa football na be sika pentino, and even league many teams no crowd, and more chiche. Look at kotokoya working. For some certain management in board, or more kontokwa did you or more time from day one. I've been seen there, such in Sunday, Hununa, Koswa, I've been seen there, Oko has of folk, them. The same thing, Nipana yet to managing. So as a leader, as a wouldn't plan, I wouldn't vision. Sana Bayer, there we sit here and we advocate young people should come and take leadership for young guys in the managing. Young mind or the man. So it is not just about that, it is about that kind of idea and vision by leadership or that plan, no purpose, Gubasinum. Baby, I will be a so severe no see. Baby will be a sika free, when you sika free. Football definitely plan the same, and nobody is questioning anybody. Oko Parliament, our select committee on sports, youth and sports. ATD Koso Kroma in terms of our football, Yatra Kroma, every tournament we try to get there, but we come home with nothing. Yakwana Yakoboka, Yako Egypt, Yakanse, Yadi, Cap number fear, Yako Kogu Yanimase. The last time I Yako Comoros, and football nation, Omune year, Yaba, we identify one person and blame, but we forget to say, ye need team. Right. I invite you. You will need to sit down, identify players, build a system, and build a team around them. And this is invite boggers now. They are only coming to complement the team. Now you said the Biana Yaswaya, you didn't say you're quite fashion, but Sika Benya Dintino, then you pass on the chair that I was a quite a capaba.
All right. Where we are coming black meat, but it's China. Any sports team, the better not say. Da Yasha Ghana football, and what's me. Football people are being your mono, you from phone, so won't beat me in Sobeba, and this I am a can now for yet to me a share, Ghana football. Yamia Duma next week and so you're quite for fra. I didn't so account. Ni, Captain Mankessim.
Right. But Captain, I send a Mankessim no. My main dica with you for now, a part of the youth of Ghana clinical team. Captain, now 4th of July, and now America's Independence Day. I'd just like to read a little bit of our Declaration of Independence, America, our Declaration of Independence. I'd like to read just a portion of it. Okay. If I start it, yes. I must say, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. I say, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Captain say that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Captain, let me leave this one here, Yembra Mankessim, and I'll touch back on this one.
Okay.
And to the American government, we wish them happy independence, but we'd like to remind them of the values and the principles which they hold true in the declaration of their independence. Now, sir, Usha, the American system and what America was supposed to be, there's a huge divergence. And this is a very good time, sir. America would look and backtrack and identify, say, Hefa now would divert it from the agenda or the real purpose and promise of America, which is democracy to the world. Captain to Mankessim.
Okay.
Mechia Osajofo and Inaima. But Captain William said Mankessim was the capital, or is actually the center of the infantement.
That's right.
It's the heart of the entire infantement.
That's right.
Mankessim was established in 1252. Captain, that's over 500 years ago.
Good.
But what is the state of Mankessim today? Captain Menyanka will just show a few of the footages from the boiler, the hospital, and the school. Now, because a idea said you have to see it to believe it.
That's right.
So people will not even believe it. Because, Captain, how is it that a whole town, which has more than 50,000, between 50,000 and 100,000 residents, a hospital, I don't know if we should even call it a hospital, but a hospital with only 3 rooms as wards. Every room has just about 2 beds, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
It means for a population of between 50,000 and 100,000, they have just 6 beds, servicing all of them.
Now it's 4. Because nurses now converted 1 room at the changing room.
Captain, this is nothing short of genocide. No, seriously. Captain, genocide, and yes, no, but if your policies are such that it's deliberately orchestrated to reduce population or to make sure that people cannot receive a basic right as healthcare, that is genocide.
Okay.
And to say, I said, BBC, there's an emergency for any resident of Mankessim. Where are they going to transfer them to?
The Dobeko Room and Hospital.
But that's a private institution.
Okay.
And to say, only Sika for health service. I'm not sure Muji National Health Insurance. And see, if you don't have the money to pay for private health care, what happens to the people of Mankessim? It means every single resident of Mankessim has been sentenced to a death sentence.
Oh.
No, of course. They are 1 sickness away from a death sentence. Because there's only an emergency and there's no way you can make it to Accra or to any of the surrounding towns. Ubewu. So that's just it's a death sentence. But you're only 1 death sentence away. It's just a sickness away to your death. And the captain, that is genocide. Captain, we went to Mankessim.
Hospital.
Yes, this is the hospital. So-called hospital. Captain, for basic necessities, we need disposable plant. We need this disposable system. And waste, where do they keep them? Captain, you yourself went away and you opened up what they call the
placenta pit.
Placenta pit. Captain will say.
Oh, right.
This is a national. This is a health hazard, Captain, because human tissues, and these things are left in a pit. But this has been left open. Captain, do you know the implications of this? Because in so too, this is not the rain, this is not the waterproof thing. Can you imagine this?
What is that?
Placenta at the afterbirth. After pregnant women give birth, this is where they toss the placenta. Can you imagine this? Captain, you see, we've gotten the time. Captain, it's unacceptable.
Very.
No, Captain, and you know, Mankessim has, I said, Mankessim was established 1252. And see, from 1992, Mankessim has been in existence. Every single administration, where it is not MPB, it is not NDC, because at every single time, Mankessim has been there, and this problem has been there. Government in, government out. It's the government, Captain. It's about time, sir. The people of Mankessim will look beyond the political lenses. Sir, this is not a partisan issue. This is a problem that has existed in Mankessim, government in, government out. And at what point will the people of Mankessim say enough is enough?
Enough is enough. Oh, can want to be enough is enough.
No, Captain, the people don't understand.
Mankessim NDC corner MPP about MPP corner NDC about.
But the problem is still there. And hospital, no, so share the banner in front of him, no. Yatro Golden Jubilee Hospital, which means
Golden Jubilee.
Yeah, Kufuor time, and I see is our hospital.
Sure.
No. So it means after Kufuor's government, we've had several other administrations. We've had the NDC and the MPP alternating. And none of them could even do any simple renovation to expand the hospital. But they will drive into Mankessim every single political season to go and campaign, say, Yento Abama. I don't blame the politicians. I blame the residents of Mankessim.
Okay.
I blame the residents of Mankessim. Captain, we drove by and we saw the school. You should see what they call a school. Not even fit to rear pigs. With the greatest respect to whoever is concerned. But that school is not fit to even raise pigs. But, Captain, these are human beings we call future leaders.
School no bro for
now, Ocean mission statement in crime history. Also to create a conducive teaching and learning environment.
To attain
academic excellence and moral discipline for societal good. Now, so Ocean environment, my goodness. No, see, this is the veranda. And come on, I've said this. We think education, the children should go and sit in the classroom and receive instruction for long hours.
That's right.
But we don't understand, sir, leisure and play is a very key component of education. But you see, most of the so-called government schools in Ghana, I'm yet to see whether has a functioning playground. None of them. And why do we turn around and we are surprised at the performance of the school children? When Shomo School Park. Shomo School Park. Captain, I like that Nanado was angry because a sitting chief sat when the national anthem was being played. But Captain, I've gone around many government schools and they have flag poles, but there's never a Ghana flag in sight.
That's right.
And see, if the children are even going to have assembly and sing the national anthem, to what are they singing the national anthem?
Compound. And to us.
Captain, government is serious business because the lives of millions of people depend on government policies. Captain, say, for phone, no. For phone, no to say on mine, no. The operating system within the phone and as a computer, no, is the constitution. The apps that run the phone, no, are your policies. And so you can have a very good functioning phone. If you don't have a good operating system and you don't have good apps, the phone is useless. And see, if Ghana is a very good country, all the natural resources that we need, everything is ready.
Sure.
But if you don't have a good operating system, which is a constitution, and you do not have the good apps, which are your policies, the country become a useless country. And that is exactly the problem we're having in Ghana today. And see, Captain, I even feel ashamed, sir. And not for myself, but I feel ashamed on behalf of our so-called leaders, sir. If they go for international meetings, sir, AU meetings, UN General Assembly, and you meet your fellow presidents who are bragging about the things they've done in their countries. For instance, Rwanda. Rwanda has one of the best bus systems in the whole world today. Meanwhile, they had sent people here to Ghana to come and study our metro bus system. But today, they can boast of having the best bus system in the world. It is also shared when Unyanko president said, Paul Kagame, what called UN AU General meeting, and now UN General Assembly, and you meet your fellow presidents, and they're talking about policies and programs in their countries. What do particularly Ghanaian leaders talk about? So they're looking for more avenue to go and borrow money. Borrow money to do what? And so you boast and raise your shoulders up, say, oh, you're president. Oh, you're president of the number one gold producing country in the whole Africa. What do you have to show for it? Apart from... and see, Captain, the $600 million that was borrowed from the IMF just recently.
Asa.
What did they use it for?
Asa.
Captain, there's a saying.
So can cry.
Eta. Ah, yes, sir.
Eta.
Captain, there's a serious issue here. Sir, I think it was Jefferson who says this, that the price you pay for democracy is eternal vigilance. Say, Odi to me, a few people say, Omunche Adiene so. And you do not watch, say, you would end up losing your rights. And that's exactly what's happening in Ghana today. Captain, since 1993, Obetia almost say it is one administration. ABR, MPP will say it is NDC. NDC will say it is MPP. But Captain, do you know, since 1993 till date, MPP and NDC have never gone into opposition before. Since 1993 till date, NPP and NDC have never been in opposition. Never. This is Amikasa. Government is in three arms. You have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. This is three arms of government. The only thing that changes is the executive arm. In presidential elections, we change who becomes executive leader. That's just one arm of government. But MPP and NDC have always been in parliament. They refer to themselves as majority and minority, and they just alternate between themselves. But at every single time since 93, Captain, the two of them have always been in government. They've never been in opposition. It is only the executive arm that changes hands. And see, for the first time, in our political history, in 2020, we had a hung parliament.
That's right.
Where there was no longer excuse, say, oh, MPP are buying, NDC are buying. No, they had equal number in parliament.
But because they are the same, they did the same.
That, Captain, it is under the so-called Fourth Republic, 8th Parliament, which has been the most criminal in the history of Ghana. The most criminal government in the history of Ghanaian politics has been, and particularly the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic has been the most criminal. Captain, this is the most illegitimate parliament we've ever seen in the history of Ghana. South doesn't have representation. South doesn't become the Declaration of Independence. If you go, they've listed about 25 crimes of the British king. One of the main reasons was that they were having taxation without representation. That's exactly what's happening to the people of South. They have no representation in parliament, but Captain, they continue to pay taxes. So if in America's history, they went to war, there was civil war in America because some people claim, say, they were paying taxes without representation in the National Assembly. And this is what created national chaos in America. How is it that we are having the same thing in Ghana, but we're quiet, and we claim to be a democratic nation? And South has no representation in parliament since 2020. 3 years and counting. But we've had 2 by-elections in this country. Come and tell me this is not irresponsible. This is unconstitutional. This is criminal. And this is taxation without representation. And I wonder why so-called legal luminaries in this country are quiet. We have Supreme Court judges who have acted as if they've not seen this thing happen. The Speaker of Parliament raised an issue when they resumed from Parliament last year, and then raised an issue about the SAL issue. And then we thought, say, he will follow up on this and make sure SAL will receive their due, and there'll be justice done by them. But it's going back to business as usual. Captain Messi, in the last 3 or 4 months, we've had 2 by-elections. But SAL continues to have no representation in parliament. Captain, I'm telling you again on the record, this 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana is the most unconstitutional, most illegitimate parliament in the history of Ghanaian politics. And they take me out on that at any time. Let's debate this issue. But the people of SAL continue to pay taxes without representation in parliament. And people claim we're in a democracy. Catch a wrap up with the
bola.
The bola. You have videos, no?
Yeah, sure.
Your friend in Mount Bola.
Mount
Bola is a new tourist attraction site in Mankessim. Mount Bola. Because Captain, Bola Ujinaswa, you see the whole of Mankessim. What do you call it? Any Mount Bola?
Any?
Oh, we cry station nature.
Debbie, Eba.
Behind the station.
I know I be really ako.
No, you should see this. So much so that garbage is moving into people's rooms. Check. This is on top of the bola. That's the footage you're seeing. You can see virtually the whole of Mankessim standing on the heap of rubbish.
And go for dance now.
This is where human beings are living. And you should see children playing around this. Captain, these are the things. No, this is garbage. And see, let's put all political issues aside. This is a national health issue because we're in the rainy season. Saying so talk a crap. Captain, you can see the children playing around. And these are settlements or people's houses all around Mount Bola. Now, with a little rainfall in this, you can imagine the outbreak of cholera that can happen here. And cholera is so contagious, say, if it starts in one community, it can spread like wildfire in a very short time. And see, are we waiting for this to go out of hand before we start complaining, say, we have a cholera outbreak? Captain, can you imagine, say, 2023, we are still dealing with cholera. Can you imagine this?
Sure. And malaria.
Say, above 6, you cannot sit outside here because the mosquitoes you would find. Captain, so we have leadership in this country.
Yeah, so they say.
And you see, as a leader, you don't wait for problems to be brought to you, Captain. You yourself have to be abreast with everything that's happening in your jurisdiction. And since I will be trying to say, MC, there's a problem, there's a problem. No, you must find out. Make sure your appointees are running proper reports every period. If it's every periodic reports, so you can access and come. I've told these guys to run the country. How long? Because it is said that bad things happen when good men remain silent. And see, those who are supposed to be speaking up and making sure, say, we hold this boat to account, we've sat silent and we are quiet and we've acted as if nothing is happening. But Captain, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the essence of our governance system right now. Say, once you get to me, understand, say, it comes with great responsibility. And not just responsibility, but accountability. Because you have to report to them and give account to them for everything you've done with that stewardship. But we've acted as if nothing is happening. So-called leaders are acting as if they've not seen what is happening. But they should continue playing deaf to this and playing ostrich to this. Captain, there's a time coming for judgment, where everyone will have to give account for the stewardship that has been given to them. And Captain, no one shall escape that judgment. Mark my words, Captain.
All right. Ima, says Rebecca Bola Nasam. Mama Bola.
Yeah. Captain, Michia na wetiefo. Michia New Vision Movement in Penny for Kofi Quarantine. Ishmael Bright, chairman. Any great Accra regional executives, Michia will be a Captain Kaminyan can never change with the number, may change captain, no. But as at least as a Omafano, ya body nama are too popular. Can be from Chancellor Nanka ya teni Unia TV as a university.
Wow.
Nanka, why the Chancellor of Unia TV, Unia University.
Unia is a national project, yes. Anyway.
Say, Sa assembly yakano several times. In Penny 4 was some you can say. So when a river enters the ocean, it loses its name. Say sutene eko bopumwa ni dino eko nti eponu dina efa. Yawa politics ewo man politics enya de boni. Politics eyade a edin siesie eba oman. Enti sa kwanya ne ba eye oman no hu edin siesie ene ede sa de weba. Enti kaya to abawi a obi ahwe animu se ye nwene political party hu biem. Ye nyina ye san ye chiba ebehwe kwan ye befa so a ye bema oman akonkan. But Ghana hano a different thing. You were politicians instead of having leaders. The leader have the future of the country in mind, while the politician has next election in mind. That is why Vice President Bawumia, even today, and he's still doing politics instead of talking about the country. He's still doing propaganda, talking about things he knows very well he cannot do. And they young call the young share president or more can say, why na can we want some?
Bola we.
Bola. Bola a yesika. Bola yesika. Minim as often a woman say, can I say, you credit among country? It was demonstrated in the Bible. Abraham Yankopo share. Noah say on year a pump, on build an ark. You see nipa. Eja wonai gu ark ni mu kwan be na Nyankopon fa so e ma ye yes ade no oso wote yare gu kro no mu na sa eduru be sa yare no o de koto sa eja nan no mu e ma nkrofo titin ade no mu kokoro mu nyina afiri mu enti na ka se simple thing I say ye government ye wabanya leaders o mo dwene a ye say a building recycling plants. You bet tennis our ball away into a friend is saying, you bet me a tennis ball away, you bet me there, I generate gas, you bet you residue no, you bet me there here fertilizer, you bet me there you queer. emenobai aba mani penya biedi eba ne sana nipa Ghana yentumi generate refuse no nti Ghana be crab ball from anoni captain say wo be kai wa hwe minim say wa hwe kuromu a wo betumi ehu say for long time no pure water sachet no rubber no and won't hu no kurom sa ekohe because institutions are buying them and nipa nam kurom no oyiyi sa no ma no na okoton because wo sika wom and is a buying a wo nyansafo mu anim sa nyoma we ya what we have to do is that recycling bin ebe to sa nyoma we enti ka obo se ball anu nipa nka ball a wo na be nipa na be akotu because ye sika onu abekọ akotu akoton and we will have a very interesting issue in this country say obe sorry no na obi gina court a ye di na samade wako wi baller because a baller bottle baako ye we na be ma 200 Ghana so wo 4 wo 800 Ghana cedis enti ka on ka baller one fancy abonti ko be si dan de agum because ye sika no wo save no akoton anya sika. Government is going to make a lot of money. You bet crab baller. Near recycle waha. Yenya residue dia producing fertilizer. Be feeding your agricultural industry farms. Near to me producing new. Near the no be be to me generate waha. But why me leading? Who is leading us? Share idea with me for central region. Until last obo din say be kwa sinful I was so happy because that is where I grew.
Okay.
Asinfo so ye mikro. That's why I grew. But the central region, your Mankessim, my Juma or a Juma Konda, and I know Mankessim. The history of Mankessim is so rich, but Nipa intentionally akata history no so because Mahunya Kono no be Nania Kodi. Look at this where we are. Abai back train Masadi we are Titia Pansam Kunkum Nipa, Yavia, Yasasika or Minisika, Ediako. This time they are meeting na maka say oh omo hu say yesika bi da baby omo kotena say na omo dindian to so omo ko lebo na omo chedi because se korre esi wo Mankessim na nipa wu a ye be form committee ye ba ba tu sika bi esi ho na manfo akọ chedi ye be kwa ba na problem ne da ho e wo ho. How many times when a captain one start yan kasa ni omo we ho I followed this show from Adom through to Angel up to this time, and I'm still following. Me sorry, I'm a parliament. It's like part of my day. I say, hey, part of my day. Me no. The worst experience I have. Say my sorry, na so TV. Na men who captain, I say men who yatiti. And ye men who maybe my that day and that's maternity. Me show no way my turning off.
That's it.
What you say? This is what has been following all these years. Many workers say, you need any single institution or this country what the responsibility of training people how to manage refuse. But well, we have leaders in this country. We still hold on to we have leaders. Your school system, your school that is the player you generating nimdia ayedibo mind. Adrinia yedi bomai, nimdia yedi bomai. It comes from the institutions, you know. Suku, here suku nakasa environment, school environment. Is here a place where you're generating knowledge because akola when you know Mankessim or the baller who did wa baller who, and na when you know baller who. What's the same panel? MSC kuro na one CSC kuro. How would that child build it? Because the akola ne woman influences akola. Last captain what can send me show so was if we do not train, take care of the villages now one tier, our cities cannot be clean because nipa wo kurase na bakrum enti akola wo kromu asebi wo jan na wo kwa ho obakromu a obeja na wo kwa ho odidi wie no oto nwura nu gu abonten a obakrum the same thing no odeba enti we need to take care of this thing but why na edi yanim enti na de bia make us a strategy. But the youth still vote for this NDC NPP. A strategy, politician strategy. NPP and NDC have led this country for over 30 years. These are the problems we have been talking about here. The same thing now here come wasam. Ensure ekum efra ensure efra eja e wo circle kum nipa. Ah wo hwe kra won to menhwe. And so we talk about it. And then the same to be getting worse situations than this. Why na eka ho asem? Enti mebu na wo Ghana media the American say Captain yesterday or 3 days say there is new agenda coming and no one can stop that agenda. Nobody can stop that agenda. Nobody. Ebedu baby no. Wow, in fact, I have always said it. In your mind, you feel you are running away. It's in reality, because you can't run away from it. Until you tell one, let us get up solidly behind those people with a vision. Say, move on my way forward. You just hear to Obama, NDC, NPP, I'm deceiving you all these years. And your activity, because they realize the youth are so powerful. Nimdiano woho, ideas can ya share a yesika, and Tianis came from Mubotum. Sebe on by your harvest reyentino, or Mekotokotoye. So they render our life, useless, hopeless. Sebe a baby a beba wonche. Why do we call them honorable? And everyone, I don't know why I'm your friend honorable. Why? They don't even deserve. They don't deserve that titles they give themselves, parading themselves. Look at school now. How would you call this? The question is me, person education minister Kwame Nkrumah Breso. There were how many PhD holders we had? Ni person and one master's degrees. Even first degree, ni person and will be. But we are school down almost see those days. And ni suku adechere. Today we have had a professor as president of this country. We have had a professor of your friend is a professor now or year education minister. Professor Nana Joe Pokwajima was my vice chancellor when I was at the University of Cape Coast. What is your contribution, Professor Nana Joe Pokwajima? Her husband is Professor Opokwajima, professor of English, still at the English department of the University of Cape Coast. He's my lecturer. So where knowledge what is it? Now we come to talk about the current education minister. He is a PhD. My researcher me kakra makan kire say wo ka private school say what America a year before there America. A friend said Dr. Duchum school one of the best ewo ho. Enti Dr. Duchum wa wo be fra ho honorable. And this school now who Ghana hano. And is that the same school you built in America? School Ghana who building the best school ever in the history of this country. And this school no school no. These are the reality we're talking about here. Ghana for. There are ways we can solve this problem. You see, most of the process Captain Smart and in Penny 4 most of the problems of this country, the solution is just a common sense. It's just a common sense. Just as somebody, there are two things I see. Either will be somebody has refused to think, and as I brought it more thing. When him says me way, but it's more things Ghana for young bre the debia. That is what they do. And to me Kasabe, when it comes to some of these things, I don't want to talk so much about that. But the American say, a mabuna Ghana, a brand we say your best sorry waka. Sometimes when you call say BBC, young sorry quarter will be a Chinian can't until young can't be a higher now. Over corner demonstration, just few people. But your pen punt you, your percent Ghana. How do we change it with one person? Sometimes I watch some of the comments they make about Captain Smart and other people when they have shows. I just read it. Sometimes won't come a comment, but I just read it and realize we Ghana ni and then make it a comment way. What he different planet and I hear what and what can we? But one thing I remember, me can say, wo waha ebia na we nya biadi, but we be nya bi ni nipa wo ye good leader thinks about last week, me can say some way. What sheni petwa was sitting and I watch whether your leadership has been good or not. It's the assessment of whether you are a good leader or not. You turn and look at nipa na udi wonso. Was sitting them to President Kufuor catching yes, was sitting them netwaba
abapakura
netwaba. And then now was sitting them one. And your NDC MPP is also mama. Yet they can over $750 billion. Meboa. Says he cannot yet, NDC MPP parading themselves a year by MPP for pay or flag bearer. Mahama and the Conde Danabetri said, or no yet at Jinkwama on my way. Platform Ben or Mumi and Wenya, what to me, Dina Swaka Ghana for how they are going to pay the loan. Si Kana, a Kana, or more Bregu Hona, a Puya, and Memo Ghana. The Ben, what is Obiania platform, what plans our war to solve that problem. Captain, we don't need political campaign. We need national development plan. That's what we need.
Pacho, Ubia, Ufri or Mem, Anyamia Waduma, Obi Kakrata, you need to know. One way to ball and who knew. Mammy back when you call them and Tefrem Qua. What thou now was sorry, Uhiani Pan skin, Nubuna, what a pampine. I will nipano with your home. Yarian Keten. A dia or Mudemono, Pampine inti, or the Robert to doom, Akatam Pomanechi, and in Framan to me, Rat dining. Es soon knew improve car and then Tefre. Oh, my God. Innocent, no, your health aspect. Brian.
Captain, some I can boil down to leadership. Siano, we are the dang, and so here over the years, the kind of discretion yes, I see no chroma. I'm for the 2 missions, and I'll be say sense of purpose, sense of direction, air driver or minor, and then the war. The vision, the ordinary and the ordinary Ghanaians should buy into that particular vision, and in the concerted effort, you rally behind that particular idea, that vision, now you're pushing it through. Some people build your mind on mind is seen and so Captain. You need to just look at your priority areas as a country. You identify all of them. By education. Education is a priority area. You can't ignore it. But when your education right, that becomes a foundation upon which you look at other priority areas. We've been talking about kind of national agenda. National agenda you never believe in, and that will become a driving force. You better me anchor the progress of this particular country on, and then the change at the yako. And then somebody is talking about Bola, or China Obi what is happening at the health sector, or China power crisis, your first transportation. She said the problems are quite insurmountable. So what is the plan? Direction bay and the idea of mine no more. Yade kose captain behind the year drew. O mine na yebuno. Unim. Yeah, I cross a pay as you go. You wake up and there. You who problem ne. Ya kasafa hua. The next day we are ushering ourselves into another realm of troubles. Now ya kasa hua we are moving on. Oko back you realize we've not been able to come out with a single solution. Identify all these challenges. May can't about the say okay your constitution. Circumstances in the environment you created that particular constitution now. Captain, we've come a long haul. Like about 30 years in here. There are certain areas and portions in the constitution clearly you know say outliving the usefulness relative to time maybe engineering. So as people how do we update those portions sync with the modern terrain and happenings on the ground? Even the grey areas in our constitution alone are creating a lot of problems for us. Within this particular way, dual citizenship, or be a foreigner, ultimately to a back, or be a say, Captain, and I was expecting, said, I brank see first one, no. I identified that particular challenge, as I can yet me this solution, But I'm saying people are young meaning, we waited for several years for another thing to hit us. And I yet take it up your thinking cap, making noise, and now that a sin-off issue is over, Obia has forgotten about it. Sana koye sha ne we are now all kind elections after the 2020 election I'm for year even parliament individuals who are supposed to drive that particular conversation and ensure say parliamentary business will not go on until a sad issue is settled. Everybody is comfortable. The Speaker of Parliament, who is supposed to be very instrumental in ensuring that we do this, he's playing number 3, comfortable. He's cool with that. He doesn't care about what happens to Shah, any other thing. And it has become the order of the day. Captain, so far a constitution, so we have say, obi citizenship, allegiance, obi te Ghana or ho kwan say obetimi contest e wo ha na say one renounce ni citizenship na say for no. You see, these are key concepts as people am I a problem no yet na say and we define them in clear terms, but the ambiguity that is hanging on these areas, you know, I give the judges the room to exercise discretion. And whenever a judge is sitting at the court and they are exercising discretion, whichever way they put it, we ordinary person, you can't complain, you can even a lawyer, because a lawyer, it is not your job to interpret a constitution, but you are to give a refined interpretation. Say, yeah, judge not want to I have gone to a court, lawyer be sorry making nice argument. Oh sorry, I'm a judge no to who here. So the constitution and numerous ambiguity in gray areas also no the sole discretion of a judge as to whether that discretion is positive, right or not, you know, that is another thing to be discussed. So I don't think young key all these things I will consider define said. So we were abontinas or baba contest here. Citizenship doesn't mean allegiance. Yen define it because me who be samia. So be a citizen, any allegiance, and they are two different things. But somebody in an earlier ruling equated citizenship to allegiance, and that become a precedent there. Going forward, is that the land that we want to go again? So be any starting the journey say or parliament and that journey next start free. Is it a bride nipan and the party you know? And that's what I pick in the nomination form. And I say you to Obama we yeah declare no. And answer what parliament swearing in. You see, all these are grey areas. I give you rise to a lot of the challenges hereby, but nobody is proposing and answer coming up with a solution. Say, okay, let us review our laws and define all these perimeters. And say, but yeah, in the future, no, we are not going to give any judge some discretion to exercise as to what I say. Obi ko parliament and the journey start what in the forms are called and answer what I say. But then you now coming to answer the question. The Biamaka say, and you pay as you go. Problem not bad. Then we rally around it, we make noise. And when it is over, we forget about it until another challenge ever. And that has become the order of the day. So if you want to understand why we are stuck in the bottom of the pit, now we don't see progress, we don't see any development, we don't see anyone. We are just reactionary people. We scream and make noise when the problems are available. But nobody is thinking about professing solution. As some way about this citizenship, about this allegiance, about it. And we gather around the table, make noise, and express our opinion around it. But we have power today to identify all these areas and define in clear terms and those ambiguity that is hovering on our constitution. And there are several other grey areas where your constitution relative to time may say several portions of it out to live usefulness. But I am not calling for a total say and jettison the constitution because it is the foundation upon which this fourth republic is. But we can still review some portions of it. Number be out to live usefulness because you can't just jettison the constitution. Once you throw it away, it means the fourth republic has been jettisoned. So what you do is that you identify all those grey areas now. Out to live usefulness any modern terrorist system and sink, you scrap all of them and then with new laws. And that is the best way that we can go. And yes, sir, Captain, you better have making noise. I had the problem yet TV so kind of the following day we will come and talk about it. And our progress, nothing seems to be working. Look at our various facets of our society. And can never say, and then come be a baby ball at Timiko Mankessim, come Mankessim, your classio. Mankessim and your class. Oh, and your class. And in the center of the town, Bola Mpenim for Okromo. Now, even some of these things, Captain, you see, Bisani, you could do Mankessim, no. MPP penny for Okronum, led by Openi Alan, Okokroko, Ajasco, Boise, Wawaka, Ebaye. Yes. One seven say Yabubu ndi one platform so. Jenti by Bishai Meka. Na yeba yenka se wono wonwa di MC atemo platform so no wono nka no ho na den baller no da ben yebetu Ajasco se wo mako meeting na yesi yebedwi baller na ye de why community center na se ka be fa hin na akọ baby a baller no go na timi akọ akutukura se o de akọ community center obebu obi dan gu Mankessim school clinic chese the political leaders are a woman Mankessim nanka so ma yira exactly Captain because we say so mo nche development or say oh ya got to do energy
but on Kyei and you should appropriate or more your politicians they are not leaders
well.
They are politicians. They are
yes, woman gutter to a janichi.
Captain.
Drained.
Captain. On my to some Mankessim, I use the word enye grass.
Enye grass,
good. So some baller he put baller at the center of Oya. You don't expect the central government so to your friends excavator from a castle to baller.
MC2.
Nipati Chrome representative of the government at her and penning for her, they know the health implications of some of these things. You see, the reason why we will always be taken for granted is that we the people now at the ground, so no, we have not shown that you're serious. You have not shown that we are thinking. So if we win two baller, no bit baby, fresh central government, or messy toilet man, or the could say, and you cannot build those things. I know the day, no, Nippon to throw on for respect to be amount. That is why you see politicians masquerading on various political platforms. Your friends say, yeah, they come your home samran, they say. You see toilet about 20. You see toilet banker in this era where you will be. Baby, we are sending me. I'm for airport to artificial intelligence. I'm for toilet and I buying a platforms. Like I say, mercy toilet a mamo. Namo did we are mobile and I kept here the we could get. You see, such nonsense. That is what we have to reduce our politics into. Obedi the we are in or or could get in Zoom. Captain, you see, but and say politics in Yansani and Jane and Kahun. You know, these people will stand on political platforms and use some of these, your friends saying, petty things, and the politics. But near my driver economy, you see, and never be a real captain. The larger portion of the Western economy is driven by what you call the knowledge economy. You see, resources and as for and other countries, our resources, but I don't know, even America resources now, they are not tapping into it. They are consistently dependent on the knowledge economy that has to do with innovation, technology, information, availability, and quality. And these are near my air drive. Am I now making breakthrough space here called industries, 5G technology, and as for all this coming out of the knowledge economy. Man for a use as a precursor to push the economy. Besides, yeah, no knowledge economy now. However, they go nipa na obu my no sabi. Nipa no hu na timi say nya adwen na edi bu of mine. So that knowledge economy no you anya man betimi boost to again. Natural resources na yawa from Don Diego dia Jambuja no pen so ayesha asesa call no besi ne yenya hu nyansa hu say yenso ne ye build the industry around it say ton na yawo no kwa ye ton besi ne gold ye tu gold a ye shepo say China for no say ne not tie ni nyina ne de ko ye njabu okrom ha o so ede na yawa ye make us knowledge ne self experience na so for ye nya no ye de ye bibi oil exploration and ya kofa companies in the omabasa mo amefa omo nyema nyina mfa ntu when we can hire them to do the exploration and pay them but on by yes anyama ni nyina we are not mama 5% and not 10% near Jacob. So we are not appreciating, we are not learning, but we still have people who run around town calling themselves leaders, masquerading on various platforms. Me say it is about quote akesiye and V8. We are no free man, absolutely nothing. That leadership, no, you can get it. So we as a people, no, young we are thinking back to a certain level. You bet me, I move beyond this extreme partisan influences and the conveniences, you know. Now, Yanka said, oh, a party class, team. You know what is right and what is wrong. Now, you're striking that particular balance. Now, you're demanding what is right instead of say, yeah, the Sani, no, higher the free, Sani, no. Samuna Yatana, Babesina. 50 years to 60 years, 70 years, and what could do 100 years after independence, Captain? We will still be stuck here and nothing will change because me catch us. Those of you who think that maybe free will be better of the economy, now say damn the whole team because God has never built any economy anywhere. But I'm saying you tell my young Gentino, Captain, everything is just going away. No, my team must be Obi, I would pen paper man so to me. Ultimate dada graduate in as a force or your angel. Na ya jina to kwa sorry no nipa wu ho ti say oyo man ya nsa ni nipa tim say ya fa say osofo no so oyo angel no o sande uko na asoro da ma hu mpanifo mu go yes and so such a mind no if that is the psyche that is driving this particular nation here you know how mind no o ya fasting 100 days capture we nye da because nipa no mu no nobody is ready to think.
But now I say, World Bank Emma Ghana sika $3 million. World Bank say now share said your sergeant for Kwame Nkrumah Museum netiana na nyade esani. Intino on July 20, 2022, our graphic online. ɛna Donald Ato Dapetem ebo modia etro story plan ne nneɛma ɛyɛ tourism ministry no ɛkɔyɛ wɔ kɔhwɛ World Bank abfa ho ɛka no wɔda ne die no ɔtwerɛyɛ nyame adom sika World Bank de baayɛ na World Bank na tena sepe ne contractor one fan renovate or Sergeant for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Museum no ene World Bank ewie o mampani Kubiano the World Bank adane e de ahye Ghana ensa.
Wow. When I go Kubiano
na do na
na yo wa Kwame Nkrumah
ana na wani abiri
ni put the sika na omodia
who mama
$3 million
with $3 million abana kasa su twa another $10 million so omo de bi be kwa akoso World Bank na omo de bi so akoye Cape Coast Castle so $10 million no ho asem so da we be kan no ho asem later.
So it took World Bank to give
us
World
Bank World Bank na fund here
only say Sekuture Nkrumah who Budapest, they brought his body back to Guinea and he was buried there. And so now if you know free Guinea about Ghana, no. Sekuture, the president of Guinea, gave ultimatums. Said they should expunge all the criminal charges against
Kwame Nkrumah.
Reinstate all remove all the wanted notice on all the CPP executives. And so now the Kwame Nkrumah body no back. When they were drafting the 1992 constitution, the part I didn't agree with when he said we don't support throwing out the whole constitution. They said social indemnity clause, section 34 and 35. The constitution is saying, sir, not even parliament has the power to amend that section. What nonsense! Is the constitution more powerful than we the people, or we the people more powerful than the constitution? Yeah. But this 92 constitution, in the section transitional provisions, section 34 and 35, it is telling us, sir, not even parliament has the right to change or amend the constitution. That part. He's saying that. What? Referendum. You don't understand this. A referendum is a parliamentary instrument. So if parliament cannot have the right to even institute the process, how do you change or amend the constitution? It's saying, he said, no court in Ghana can sit to hear any case concerning any of the coup d'etats in Ghana. And we are saying we should keep that document in Ghana. I don't blame us. Ghanaians are politically immature. That's why these things can happen. How can you have a document that says the most criminal aspects? Professor Fiajo, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, or say, if you remove just the transitional provisions, the indemnity clauses, or say, if you remove just that part of the Constitution, the entire document will have to be thrown out. Professor Fiajo said this. He says government would have to be given, power have to be given back to Nkrumah's government if you remove the indemnity clauses from the Constitution. So the Constitution itself is saying that not even Parliament has the right to amend the transitional provisions, the indemnity clauses. How is this possible?
All right.
And he said we should keep the Constitution. Captain, we should have a day to debate the Constitution.
No, don't worry. June 11, 2022, President Akufo-Addo announced that an amount of $10 million has been set aside to refurbish and construct new tourist sites in the country. Timiye. Nanado says part of the money will be used to renovate the Cape Coast Castle, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, among others. Speaking at the commissioning of the newly renovated Ghana National Museum in Accra, Nana Akufo-Addo said, the tourism industry needs to be given the needed attention. I am quoting him. Government has committed $10 million to rehabilitate and build a number of tourist and heritage attractions, including the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. This one was funded by the World Bank.
Not the government.
Not the government. Cape Coast and Elmina Castles. Menchia Palace Museum. Bewa Palace Museum. And the Ya Santua Palace, among others. Mpacho Yeriana. I'm only asking. I just want to know. I just want to know.
But I don't blame them. I blame the World Bank. La polyclinic was collapsed with the expectancy that you better see new polyclinic amount. Till date, not even the ground has been dug for that. But the World Bank doesn't see this. Or the Massacre say renovations for Elmina and Cape Coast Castles. What madness is this?
World Bank, that time,
2017.
But World Bank saw say.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
say again.
Well, decide what they want to use their money for.
I get that.
We have a government. We have a president. Yes, and the World Bank decide that.
Say World Bank has the right to decide what they want to use their money for. At the end of the day, or at the end of the period set for that money, has World Bank any right to find out whether the project for which the money?
Yeah, so there are $3 million, was used and used properly.
A very beautiful project too.
But Captain,
but 10 million in the end, and then the chattel was all the Koye Yasantoa Palace. Yasantoa Palace, the Mudia here, just the year. And I Yasantoa Palace in the Mudia here. Bewa Palace, Yakwakoyo, Yadekoye, Menchia Palace Museum, Cape Coast Castle, and Elmina Castle.
At the time,
it will be the Batashin Yakwen. Okay,
Captain, at the time, pensioners, Sika. I come. You know, sir, this way na new one beba. Because my catcher say 600 million na yansakai as a first tranche from IMF. No, it's contingent on certain conditionalities. Yebe meeti. Now, see, you pass it to the next stage. That is when in November, December, the next package, which is 600 million, will come, and we did the whole year. No, you bring 1.2 billion. So those conditionalities, no, so in the second phase of that DD, we na kind again. Ma William Fisher say and second IMF Fisicano negotiation with our credit partners in there has not been any update on any of them as to whether the Paris Club now or China for am I go ahead? Am I in that?
See those of you on TV, one more radio, the Muntimi, aside from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Museum now, World Bank at $3 million. Ebe shame the year no any and then maybe at 10 o'clock ya me say adaka na ye de osaje for 2 munu na si no omo de aba e ma refi Kwame Nkrumah wa pra na so mpro
Captain
eche ye be ya no ne ka otena mu no ena omakwatam de si ho no owone ma hodo bebre ya obeka ya yem papa no ba ha no ye ne clerk no e kan se sa ne mani na wo ho ene ade nti emunie akonwa bi otena so empa bi oda so ene ne ma nyina no His Excellency the President of the Republic BBA anonde thanks to the World Bank thanks to the World Bank I'm bring $3 million to do this meje the year say aban disika kwashim ka ho.
I can imagine, say, I buy in a year, say, a Jumai, and car figure no better thing. Because we have $3 million.
Omucha 10 million. I say, Nkrumah Park so car.
Captain, and I think the symbolic friends gesture they will pay to us, and they see pay very, very much attention to. Aside for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, World Bank Befasika, at the Abba, some when you be say. Because of the legacy he left behind.
Yampon, where
because of the legacy he left behind.
Yampon show no. Yeah,
so bold, Papa.
Yeah. Oh.
Because when it comes to Kwame Nkrumah, I have always said it and always Kwame Nkrumah never dies.
Okay, 21st September. 21st September. That's it. Yefa Kasa hodo ni na mfansi ya na fe ya ma efia na fe ya ekwan na ya kano.
Fufu Akuma FM Fufu Party a free journey bus for Friday 4th August 2023 at the forecourt of Asoko Municipal Assembly New Amakom MHHs Park Resua Kayo Diohia ni Wayua free Fufu Ubetre bus jumedi abra ude pokia crunchy atosodie enam bi tise nantwie aponche adwene obi yo wo bia yebeji na fe ye de abo jumedi wo bibia de be boy fresa number